We are so focused on the results, right? The leads, the closings, the incomes, and we forget about the roots that are necessary for us to achieve those results. And by pouring into those roots and nurturing the soil appropriate, it creates an opportunity where we can truly elevate the ultimate results.
Good morning. Welcome to another Real Estate First Friday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty. I'm joined by my co-EVP, Louis Fermin, and we are all blacked out today, bro.
And not just blacked out, we are bundled up.
We are.
It is cold here in Florida.
It is.
They must be thinking, where are you guys at? Isn't it always warm in Florida?
Yeah.
No, it's cold today.
Yeah, it was 48 this morning. And I know to a lot of people, that's like, okay, that's like a little baby cold. That's not even really anything. But to us, it is cold.
Yeah, and it's funny because yesterday I was actually speaking to one of our Canadian agents, and mentioning
it's
how
like negative 50.
No, it's single digits. Yeah, I was explaining to him how excited I was this year for Halloween, because usually in Florida, sometimes we're like in the 80s for Halloween. Like, it doesn't feel right, but you have those few years where there's that coldness to it, and those are my fondest memories of Halloween. So I'm definitely excited about that today. But he was explaining how it was in single digits already in Canada. I'm like, oh my goodness,
no way.
We were over there by the ocean yesterday, and
it was like high 70s.
High 70s.
We're like, ooh, it's a little chilly out here. We have new people joining every single week, and so if you could put actually where you're from and what the temperature is where you are.
All right.
Let us see what is happening in the LPT Eco family. What was that, 47 in Michigan? Shannon? I know she's used to that. 43. It was great talking to you yesterday, Shannon. 68. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm happy that I just saw 59 from Vegas, because I don't think I was thinking through packing for cold, because we're off to Vegas.
We'll be off.
Sunday.
We'll be off to Vegas this Sunday. We'll be out there for a conference. So from Sunday through Thursday. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to catch up with some people. But all right, thank you for doing that. We're gonna go ahead and jump right in. So if you're just joining Real Estate First Friday, every once in a while we like to go ahead and we like to kind of let you understand what to expect here. And so I saw someone joining from Albuquerque, and they're probably brand new. So it reminded me to just say, each Real Estate First Friday, we come on here and we talk about actual items that you can utilize to push your business forward. And sometimes it's mindset things and ways that you can get over obstacles, or way about thinking about things differently. Like, hey, I thought about this, it's causing this issue, or I'm not, looking at this through the right lens, and so I'm not able to see the solution. So sometimes it's a portion of that. And other times it's actual items on like, hey, here's step 1, 2, and 3 on the best way to convert this type of lead, or do an open house, or build your database, or stimulate your sphere, whatever that may be. We kind of cover that each Real Estate First Friday. And so with that being said, actually over probably the last 3 months, we've had a special guest on almost every single week talking about a specific niche or a specific tactic or something that they are experts in. And of course today will be the same. So Louis, I'll turn it over to you for
sure.
intro.
Yeah, for sure. And this is something that's so important for us here at LPT Realty, is creating like this agnostic mindset. We are all here to help each other grow, help each other develop. And we really want to use Real Estate First Friday as that place for community where we can all pour into each other. So if any of you guys on today's call is interested in sharing some type of niche, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Hodge, and we'll be happy to include you in one of our scheduled programmed Real Estate First Fridays.
That's right.
But today, we actually have Craig Zuber joining us here today. He's an amazing nationally recognized coach in the industry, and he has a very unique philosophy on his coaching strategies, which when you do your introduction, Craig, here today, please touch on that as well, because I loved how we connected on that aspect in our last call. But the subject matter for today is a pretty cool subject matter. It's basically how he defines it as the 4 routes to real estate results. And this is such an important subject matter because oftentimes as agents, we are so focused on the results, right? The leads, the closings, the incomes, and we forget about the roots that are necessary for us to achieve those results. And by pouring into those roots and nurturing the soil appropriate, it creates an opportunity where we can truly elevate the ultimate results, which is what we're ultimately seeking to do inside of this business. So without further ado, Greg, good morning.
Thank you, sir. It's Craig, by the way.
Craig, I'm so sorry.
You said Greg?
I said Greg. I think my lips are still a little cold. That's what it is with the temperature.
I'm pretty sure the email said Craig. So good morning. How are you?
Morning. I'm great.
Good. Awesome.
It's a little hoarse. However, I'm good to go. Let's do
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. Well,
All
cool. Well,
right.
we're excited to have you with us today. I know you talked about the four roots and kind of going through that piece. So if you want to quick give some background about, who you are, how long you've been in real estate and kind of what you do, and then we'll go ahead and jump right in.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've been in real estate since 2003. I'm a third generation real estate agent on both sides of my family. So I guess for my whole life, I've been a professional coach for the last 11 years, done about 17,000 coaching sessions and learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, failed miserably, and learned from those failures. And my whole goal is to help people get clear, right? Like
Yeah.
to go to the depth, to not focus on the symptoms, to get to the root issue of what's causing their either lack of production, lack of clarity. And so for the most part, I specialize in slowing people down, not speeding people up. I take who they are, what they do, what they know, their knowledge and wisdom, and help them turn that into a system. That's pretty
Oh,
much it in a nutshell. And
awesome.
I focus more really on the six, probably the most powerful real estate on the planet, which is the 6 inches between your ears, because that's usually where everything goes on. So we work on that quite a
Yeah,
bit.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So, we see failure the same way as that, hey, it's a learning opportunity. It's not a failure until one, you decide that you can't make it, or two, you decide your desire changes and you don't want to go that direction anymore. But a failure is always an opportunity to learn how to do something differently. Hey, this approach that I found out didn't work, right? So that's the positive. But now we're going to figure out what does work. And so I appreciate that you kind of bringing that up, because we all have to go through a version of that, of trying things that don't work out or bring us that intended result, and that is having to go back and try again to try to ultimately get
Yeah.
to that resolution. So with that being said, let's jump right into the four roots.
Well, I guess what I would say is like based on all the conversations that I've had, right? What when I said making mistakes, making failures was because I was attempting to solve the symptom. And when I slowed everything down and broke it all down, I realized that it's in one of four categories. It's either in your mindset, it's in your skill set, it's in your relationships, or it's in your schedule. Those are the four roots of everything that we do inside of this industry.
To warm up the audience, let's start with I guess the easiest route to digest first, and then we'll start, nourishing that soil appropriate. So where do you see kind of one of the easier ones where agents can overcome, and then we'll start getting to a little bit of the more challenging routes, and let's elaborate on some of that.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if any one of them is easy. Like, when you break it down, they might be simple, but let's look at it this way. So after naming those four, I look at it and say, all right, well, if your mindset is off or tilted, do you have that scheduled? Are you working on yourself harder than you're working on your business? So that still reverts back to schedule. If your relationships are off or not connected, do you have them scheduled appropriately? Right? If your skill set is off, do you have that in your schedule? So technically, I would say, look, we could go back to, does your schedule match your goal? And how hard are you working on each of those sections of your life, regardless of what it is, because it's going to fit in that category.
Gotcha. So let's maybe start with mindset. Let's unpack that a little bit. So from your chair, like what's the mindset piece of it that, we need to make sure that agents understand as they are inside of this business, because it is a very challenging business, right? Like we need to be very much resilient oftentimes in this line of work, and mindset does get in the way of that. So how would you unpack the mindset category?
I don't know if I'd unpack it. I would just say that your mindset has to do with your beliefs. It has to do with your identity. It has to do with your confidence, and it has to do with your resilience. So that's where I would interrogate it, right? What are your belief systems now? What are the stories that you're telling yourself? Because that's what really happens is narrative identity happens inside of our head. 90% of the stories that we tell ourselves aren't actually true. So in my term, I would say you have to divorce the story to marry the truth. And so I got to interrogate, what belief systems do you have? What are the stories that you're telling yourself? And then I'll go challenge those, right? Where's your confidence level coming from? Do you have a mindset that is so strong that you absolutely believe without a doubt that if somebody does business with anybody other than you, they're arguably making the largest financial mistake of their life? And if you don't feel that way, what are you doing to improve your mindset so that it is super solid, right? Because I usually break that word in two words. Mind, what is your mind actually set on? What is it that you're focused on? Are you focused on ways to win? Or are you focused on ways not to win? Tell me your challenges. Tell me how you came up with that. Tell me the stories that you're telling yourself so that we could work through it, so that we can ironclad the mindset. Because when your mindset is clear, when your beliefs are confident, right, then that gives you more confidence. That gives you more resilience. And then it gives you the confidence to go work on your skill set, develop your relationships, and then get a really great schedule.
Yeah, let's maybe pick out some of these challenges that you oftentimes hear on the mindset side, because I'm sure some of the viewers are sitting there like, hey, I have this particular challenge and I just don't know how to overcome it from a mindset perspective. What are some of the popular mindset challenges that you hear, and how would you coach somebody through that piece of it to, recalibrate and get to the proper mindset?
Well, I mean, the mindset could come from any aspect in regards to the market's down, the market's off, it's harder. It's currently harder out there. I'm not doing as well as I used to be doing. I'm like, okay, so is it actually the market? Is there not enough business out there for you to actually accomplish your goal? Are you finding reasons not to hit it? It's things like that. I just want to know where the human being is coming from, so that when they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so slow," I'm going to interrogate it. I'm going to have you pull up the numbers. I'm going to tell you, are you telling me that there's no houses that have sold in your marketplace in the last day, in the last week, in the last month? Just so that we can get the truth. That's what all this boils down to, is getting to the truth, because you're probably telling me something that is not benefiting you towards accomplishing your goal.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because we know that a lot of people, when they start to hear the obstacles that are in the market, they immediately want to make it as the reason why they're not being successful. Like, hey, interest rates are XYZ, and so the market is hard, and so I'm not successful, and so they want to attach the reason that they aren't accomplishing their goal or achieving their version of success due to this external force. But a lot of times there are things that you can be doing to combat that, because to your point, houses are still being sold. People are still buying houses like that. You just may not be doing it. So what you are doing is not working, and you're attaching it to this bigger economic thing that's like, that's why I'm not being successful. But it's really not being truthful about, well, hey, maybe it's because I'm really not time blocking, or really I'm not prospecting the amount of hours that I should, because I need to prospect a little bit longer in order to maintain the same amount of business, because not as many people are, whatever. Like, you can figure out what you need to do to stay at the same level or continue to grow in the market, instead of giving in to the pressure or the excuse that the market's hard, and so I'm just not doing as good, because it's not anything that I'm doing. It's because the market's fault.
Yeah, and how often do we hear the story where people are having the best years in their careers? Like, even though we're in this type of market inside of real estate, there are still agents who are growing inside of this space, and they're having the best years that they've ever had inside of real estate. And what's crazy is, the harder the market gets, the easier it is for agents to fall out of the market. So what does that mean? There creates more opportunity, because now there's less people fighting for that. Because yes, the backwards, formula is, oh, interest rates are what they are. Houses are not being sold. So therefore, I'm not going to put in that much work. I'm not going to put in that much effort, because it's demotivating. Or maybe I thought I was putting in enough work and I had failed, and therefore I'm quitting, and I'm not continuing with the process. And what does that create then? Another opportunity, because for every, 4 people that are falling off, those are now 4 new, 4 people who are not competing for your same type of business.
That's right.
That's absolutely right. And, some of the other things that I would say is, I'll always take you back to, where have you won before? When was the last time that you were winning? Tell me, recreate that entire aspect for me. What was your environment like? What exactly were you doing? Because I need to get their mind in a space where they were winning before, and see what was different then versus now. That's one, so that we're examining them to recreate it. The other piece is, who's currently winning out there? Who is having great success? When is the last time you spoke with them? What exactly are they doing? Right? Because if I really, really interrogate mindset and look at it, most of the time I can simply break it down to this. What are you not doing that you should? What are you doing that you shouldn't? And what are the things that you are focused on outside of your control? Those 3 key elements right there will show you where everything lies.
Yeah, and I think a good project is, grab a sheet of paper and break out those 3 columns and write those things down and see kind of how that picture looks.
Be honest. Like, this is you against you. This isn't you against the world. This isn't you against somebody else. This isn't you against a competitor. It's you against you. There's nobody that's going to look at that except for yourself. So get it all out. and your answers will show up.
Yeah, and that's another important point. Like whenever you're dealing with any mindset conversation, you have to be honest with yourself. Like you cannot, be untruthful because you're never going to progress. You're never going to accomplish that mission. Like you truthfully have to be truthful to yourself. So let's move on to the second route then. So we spent some time on mindset. I'm going to pick skill set. So break apart skill set and let's dive into the skill set route.
Ultimately, I'm going to go figure out where your skill set lies, right? Like what are you great at? What are you not so great at? What were you great at that actually the results started to maybe suffer a little bit? So in this industry, the better you get at your listing presentation, your buyer presentation, the easier everything else becomes. So skill set can be anything from conversion ratios to, most of it is just conversion. Let's just say like conversion from, well, it still could be a part of your schedule because skill set is still a part of your attitude. It's still a part of accountability, and it's still a part of, not just attitude, but mostly how hard are you working on the one or two things that literally will set you free? If you were better at one thing, when would the results become easier or more natural for you? And then I'll just interrogate that. Right? Because conversion, even though I say it as a word, there is a lot of depth to that. Some of it can be speed. Some of it can be frequency of follow-up. Some of it can be exactly what we're saying. Sometimes it can be we're saying exactly the right thing, but what's happening? You're not paying attention. You're not listening at level 3. Level 3 to me means, are you hearing what is not being said? Are you paying attention to the body language? Are you literally paying attention to the human being? Are you connecting with them as a human being and listening to their needs, their wants, their fears, things like that? Are you treating them as a in-depth human being? Are you treating them as a transaction? Are you trying to check boxes? Are you trying to hear exactly what needs to happen in order to help move them forward? And the best of the best aren't attached to an outcome. Right? So working on that, working on slowing down, working on your body language, working on what's being said, working on understanding personality profiles. I know there's a lot to that, but it doesn't take long to figure out once we simplify it down to where the struggle's at, to be able to interrogate it and work on it.
Yeah, and then there's definitely this concept of, as you're developing your skill set, your organic self does truthfully come out. Like when we're first trying to develop a new skill, you're so focused on, as you said, checking off the boxes and figuring out what is necessary in order for me to do well. Hey, I'm going to one of my first listing presentations and I've been told I need to act this way in order for me to have a successful listing presentation. But as you practice your craft and develop the skill, you're going to be able to go in there much more organically, which is going to build a different type of relationship with the consumer, because the consumer is going to feel it. The consumer is going to feel whether you're walking into that presentation, checking off the boxes, going in scripted, or are you truthfully listening to their needs, listening to their desires, and truthfully helping them accomplish the goals that they're ultimately needing to accomplish. And that does come with developing that skill and putting in the time to ensure that you are building upon that rooted skill.
Yeah. I think it was really impactful to think about, hey, if there was one or two things that I could just do right now, like that would unlock something, push me forward, eliminate a stress, whatever that may be. What is that thing? And then when I start doing it, how long do I believe I have to do it before I start seeing that result? That's a very interesting way to think about things, because I think it's probably easiest to probably put it to like a gym analogy. Like, hey, if I want to get in shape, I want to wear different, whatever your motivation is, right? You're going to say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. Well, okay, well, what do you have to do when you get there, and how long do you have to do it in order for you to finally accomplish that goal? And so when you start thinking about business or skill set that way, I think it really kind of unlocks like, okay, well, you know what? I do want to have more time, but I recognize I'm not good at scheduling. So if I start concentrating and building my skill set on scheduling, then I should start getting my intended result within, X period of time. It just gives you the ability to look at the target and then figure out how long it's going to take to get there. That's super important.
So let's do relationship.
Yeah.
Relationship as a root.
The number one and most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. How is the relationship with yourself? What are the stories that you tell yourself about yourself? Right, when nobody else is around. So you can't give what you don't have. So if you have a really great relationship with yourself, there's a really good chance you can have a really great relationship with other people. But if you're disconnected with yourself and then you're trying to work on the skill set, like I'm trying to improve my relationship with other people, I'm like, why don't you start with yourself first? Why don't you improve your relationship with you? And then watch how that transitions into the connection with other people. When you start listening to yourself, when you start being truthful to yourself, you can be truthful with other people. You can get to the root issues. You can ask the harder questions because you're not afraid of the answers because you've answered those things for yourself.
Yeah, it's such an interesting way to think about it because we always say it's a relationship-based business, but we think about it, the relationships with other and never really with the relationships with ourselves.
Could you give us some examples on maybe some of the things like a self-exercise that I would do if I'm like, hey, let me test to see how I am with myself. Right? I can't ask myself how I'm doing because I think I'm doing great. But are there some things that I can do to be like, okay, you know what, maybe I really am not as connected with the way that I perceive myself as I thought? What would be some actionable items that we could do to walk away from?
Actually, let's do this. So let's do it the opposite. Let's say, what's one thing for yourself? Just write this down. What's one thing that I am excellent at? Okay. Whatever that is, put it down there.
I'm going to do this exercise in real time with you.
Do it. Okay. What's one thing that I consistently do better than most? And I'm the kind of person who naturally fill in the blank.
Okay.
That way you actually know the truth about yourself. I mean, transparently here, there are many excellent salespeople, Heisman Award-winning salespeople. That does not transition into being an excellent business owner. Being a business owner is a completely different skill set. And so sometimes people beat themselves up because they're not working on developing their leadership, their business owner skills, and they're frustrated because they have a revolving door or people who repeat patterns lack clarity. And I'm just shining light that you work diligently on your sales skills. How often do you work on your business building skills? There's a big difference in this industry between building a career versus building a business. And if you go back to Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants, that is significantly different in the mindset and the approach from the E, the S, E meaning employee mindset. And there's nothing wrong with any of these. These are all amazing mindsets. It's just understanding how people think. The employee mindset versus the self-employed mindset. Real estate agents, statistically, they're self-employed. What do they say? What's the verbiage they use? Nobody can do it better than me, right? An employee works for the system. A self-employed person is the system. A business owner develops the system and investors invest in the system. That is the most direct, simple way I could approach that. But changing the mindset and the skill set from going from self-employed to a business owner is not easy. It takes a lot of rewiring because you're getting other people to do it versus you doing it. You have to know your numbers at a very high level to make sure you're not making mistakes. It's not just about replacing yourself. It's replacing your conversion ratios. It might be attracting a value. It might be making sure that you actually have the right humans. And that's not natural to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I think of the relationship with oneself, I think of like the root beneath the roots. Like it seems like you really got to truthfully start there before you can even be your true self to, others that you're trying to connect with. So I know we have a few more minutes and I know we have one more root left. Let's jump into schedule.
Does your schedule match your goal? And there's this concept too. I'm like, you ever have something that you put in your schedule and you know you should be doing it and you don't do it? Anybody ever done that before other than me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you have to ask yourself, is that helping you or hurting you? Because that can actually diminish the mindset when it's there. And unconsciously, you know you're supposed to be doing it and you're not. So if you're not going to do it, take it out. Don't trick yourself. Your mind's too powerful. It knows.
Oh man, I'll admit to that one. When you
I was
stick
like, I
something
feel
on there,
so exposed.
like you stick. I think I just did that recently. It's been on the schedule probably for a week, and I keep kicking it every day. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll deal with
Yeah,
it tomorrow.
yeah.
I'll deal with it tomorrow, and that's the procrastination kind of comes in. But I got some work to do with that one.
Yeah.
That's
I would say that too. You know, we juggle a lot, and there's a lot on our plate all the time, and so it's easy in the sea of things that we're doing, because we're very productive people, obviously. But every once in a while, there's that one thing you don't really want to deal with, and that you just keep burying it under all this other productivity. And so you have to be honest with yourself about those things and bring those to the front and wipe them off the calendar.
And what's crazy is every single time you kick it off, it creates more and more weight on your
really does.
shoulders
It really
versus
does.
just taking care of it.
Yeah.
Like you tell yourself, it's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. But when you kick it, it's like there's more weight.
Yeah.
The next day comes, you kick it again, there's more weight. And it just keeps adding to itself. And just sometimes just doing it just gives you that freedom to just look at things more clear.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Craig, we have very much appreciated this session. Hope to have you back again in the future. You also have a website. If you want to put that inside of the chat, if you're interested in potentially coaching with him, wanting to know more about him and his mindsets and the things that he offers, we'll give you the opportunity, Craig, to put that in the chat right now. And again, he's not currently with LPT, but that's not necessarily important to us. We always want to bring you the top in each field, like top coaches, maybe we've got people who are, really doing well at conversion, or really doing well at third-party leads, or really doing well at building X. We bring them on here and make sure that we expose you to that so that you can pick and choose what makes most sense for you to implement inside your business. So, but with that being said, I hope that everyone has a fantastic holiday weekend, and we will see you for Motivational Monday this Monday. We will be doing it live from Vegas. I believe Dave is going to be making the trek out there. So we're either going to be on a laptop or we're going to have our studio set up depending on what Davey's able to do. But we will be out in the West Coast for next week. So if you are going to be over at the Zillow Unlock conference, make sure you let us know and we will catch up with you guys then. So have a blessed and prosperous weekend. We'll see you Monday.